Now, what are the challenges? I'm now well relaxed. So what are the challenges to infrastructure development in Nigeria? Having established that infrastructure is the most visible and verifiable expression of leadership, we must now turn deliberately and without illusion to the forces that persistently undermine its development in Nigeria. For it is not enough to design infrastructure. We must interrogate with honesty and clarity why it has remained elusive. The obstacles before us are neither abstract nor obscure. They are real, systemic, and in many cases, self-inflicted. One of the challenges is corruption and systemic leakages. Corruption is not merely the theft of funds. It is the erosion of purpose. It diverts resources from public goods to private gain, inflates project costs beyond reason, compromises standards, and leaves behind a landscape of abandoned or poorly executed projects. Roads are budgeted but not completed. Power projects are financed but not delivered. Contracts are awarded but not fulfilled. What should have been instruments of progress become monuments of waste. It is therefore not surprising that corruption has been consistently recognized as a major impediment to development outcomes in Nigeria. Every act of corruption is, in effect, an assault on infrastructure, and by extension, on the dignity and well-being of citizens. Another factor that impedes infrastructure is policy discontinuity. In Nigeria, governments often begin afresh rather than build upon the foundation laid by their predecessors. Projects are abandoned not because they are unviable, but because they are politically inconvenient. The result is a tragic cycle of waste, uncompleted roads, stalled rail lines, half-built hospitals, and neglected development plans. Development, however, is not an event, it's a continuum. Nations that succeed do so because policies outlive administrations and projects transcend political cycles. Where continuity is absent, progress becomes episodic and fragile. Third, weak institutions. Arguably, one of the most debilitating constraints to infrastructure development, and indeed to national progress. Institutions are the machinery through which leadership translates intention into outcome. Where they are strong, rules are respected, processes are followed, and results are delivered. Where they are weak, systems descend into arbitrariness. Enforcement becomes selective, and performance becomes inconsistent. In Nigeria, institutions are too often encumbered by capacity deficits, political interference, and a troubling lack of autonomy. Regulatory agencies fail to enforce standards, procurement processes are compromised, oversight mechanisms are weakened, leaving accountability fragile and outcomes uncertain. This reality stands in sharp contrast to the more advanced societies we often admire. Countries such as the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Japan, and South Korea, whose progress has been underwritten not merely by resources or leadership, but by the enduring strength of their institutions. It was recognition of the fundamental truth that Benjamin Disraeli, a prominent 19th century British politician, writer, and statesman who served twice as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in 1868 and 1874 to 1880, observed that, I quote, individuals may form communities, but it is institutions alone that can create a nation. End of quote. In a similar vein, Barack Obama, addressing the Ghanaian parliament in 2009, offered a sobering reminder that continues to resonate with profound urgency. He said, "No country is going to create wealth if its leaders exploit the economy to enrich themselves, or police can be bought off by drug traffickers. No business wants to invest in a place where the government skims 20% off the top. No people live in a society where the rule of law gives way to the rule of brutality and bribery. Africa doesn't need strong men. It needs strong institutions." This was captured with striking clarity the central dilemma confronting many developing societies. For without strong institutions, leadership becomes personal rather than systemic. Governance becomes discretionary rather than rule-bound. And development becomes uncertain rather than assured. Conversely, the establishment of resilient institutions fosters a political culture anchored on justice, equity, inclusion, transparency, and accountability. It creates an environment where both leaders and citizens are guided not by impulse or confidence, but by enduring rules and shared values. As development scholars have argued, the prosperity of the nation is deeply rooted in the strength of the institutions. Without institutional integrity, even the most visionary policies are reduced to mere declarations, well articulated, but ultimately unrealized. 4, equally corrosive is what we call political short-termism, the tendency to prioritize immediate political gains over long-term national interests. Infrastructure development, by its very nature, requires patience, continuity, and foresight. It demands investment whose benefits may not be immediately visible, but are profoundly transformative over time, as it is happening today. Yet, in a system driven by electoral cycles and the quest for quick wins, leaders are often tempted to favor projects that yield instant visibility rather than those that guarantee lasting impact. The consequence is a preference for spectacle over substance. Projects that are commissioned quickly but lack depth, sustainability, or strategic value. As Francis Fukuyama observed, development suffers when government is trapped in short-term political calculation rather than long-term planning. 5, another deeply entrenched challenge is Nigeria's poor maintenance culture. Even where infrastructure exists, it's often allowed to decay, primarily due to neglect. Roads deteriorate shortly after construction. Public facilities fall into disrepair. Poor installations become obsolete without routine servicing. This is not merely a technical failure. It is a cultural and administrative one. Maintenance is the discipline that sustains development. Without it, investment loses value and progress becomes temporary. The cost of neglect is often far greater than the cost of maintenance itself. Yet, as repeatedly noted in development discourse, Nigeria continues to prioritize new projects over the preservation of existing ones. A nation that does not maintain what it builds ultimately builds in vain. Finally, 6, there is the pervasive issue of patronage, awarding contracts to individuals and companies without the requisite capacity. When competence is sacrificed on the altar of connection, infrastructure inevitably suffers. Contracts are given not to the most capable, but to the most connected, not to those who can deliver, but to those who can influence. The outcome is predictable, substandard work, delays, cost overruns, and in some cases, total project failure. Infrastructure development is a technical enterprise that demands expertise, experience, and efficiency. Where merit is sidelined, mediocrity becomes institutionalized. As scholars of governance have observed, patronage systems undermine efficiency and weaken public sector performance. Taken together, these challenges, alongside many others that the limits of time and space will not permit us to discuss, form a dense and constricting web that continues to impede Nigeria's infrastructural advancement. They are not isolated deficiencies, but deeply interconnected failures of systems of values and ultimately of leadership itself. Until these challenges are confronted with honesty and addressed with resolve and discipline, the aspiration for a fully developed Nigeria, anchored on functional and reliable infrastructure, is little more than a mirage. Now, having attained all this, let us pin it down. First of all, infrastructure renewal in contemporary Nigeria. Leadership and development under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We've talked theory. Let's talk now and pin it down. Don't be biased. You may not like what I will say. You don't need to like it. But the truth must be true. We have said, talking about infrastructure, you need to be patient. You need to have courage to take decisions that may be difficult, but at the end of the day, it's beneficial. It's not something you want, oh, I want this to be done today. Yes, hurriedly done, but at the end of the day, no benefit. So, no matter your biases, just be calm. But reflect, having heard what leadership is all about, how you cannot have true leadership without infrastructure. What are the constraints why we don't have infrastructure to lead to development? And what are the problems of leadership as far as this country is concerned? If leadership is ultimately tested by its capacity, if leadership is ultimately tested by its capacity to translate vision into tangible outcomes, the contemporary Nigeria offers a compelling arena in which this test is actively unfolding. Under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there has been made a renewed and deliberate emphasis on infrastructure as a central driver of national development. This emphasis is neither incidental nor rhetorical. It reflects a conscious recognition that no nation can rise above the quality, scale, and functionality of the systems it builds. To maintain an analytical balance and situate our assessment within its proper historical context, it is important to acknowledge that not all the projects currently underway originated with the Tinubu administration. A few were conceived or initiated by preceding government. Talking about continuity. I can say with authority that most of the projects today, 75% of our old projects initiated by previous administration, 25% initiated by the present government. In fact, the directive of Mr. President to us in FCT, you must continue with abandoned projects before you go into new projects. Today, we have invited Nigerians to come and witness the revolution in infrastructure building, where we are taking 31 days, not 3.5 days, 31 days to see what we are talking about, infrastructure revolution. These projects, 80% were awarded 2010, 2015, 2016, 2014, 2017, 2018, down to 2020, even at the the eve of leaving office, projects were awarded. And it was the director, Mr. President, Minister, we can't allow you and your Minister of State to award new projects without at least showing concern that abandoned projects must be completed. I'm happy to say that it is our culture, not because Mr. A was in charge when these projects were awarded. Therefore, it is no longer convenient. No. Projects awarded after government is a continuum. Government comes, government go. So it does not mean that you must award. It's only the ones you have awarded. That's the only one you make sure is completed. All projects awarded by previous governments are the ones who are completed today. We don't care what you will say that you started, who finished it, who completed. That's what matters. You don't want to clap. Whether you clap, you don't clap, when you come to Abuja, you will miss your road. So when you come and you ask the taxi man, where are we going to? Then you will not begin to smile. The Honorable Minister said it when he came for the convocation lecture. So bear it in mind that I assure you, you will miss your road in Abuja.